I think there needs to be very significant rethinking of what we are, in particular in the banking sector in Ethiopia. I know you are right, you guys are technical, I am big picture, macro. I'm looking at it from the perspective of a very sizable GDP, which is growing by 8, 9, 10, depends the year. And we're nearing 100 billion next year, or at least in the next 18 months. So I've always looked at it, and this is regardless of whether we joined WTO or we adapted the requirements of the Africa Continental Free Trade. Regardless of that, I think we need to bulk up. We need to be innovative as the financial service sector. In particular, I'm not an expert like to your work on the insurance side, but certainly I think I know banking from the advisory side. And I don't think the structure of the private banking industry in Ethiopia today is such that it can support the $100 billion GDP. We're just too many small private banks. I think I saw a data last year or the year before when one of my previous panelists gave, which struck me that in the last 25 years, the entire banking sector has raised 30 billion birr. It may have raised a little bit more since then. That's $1 billion. And we've matrices that shows that that kind of capital cannot support this kind of economy. So I think from a macro perspective, I think I'll repeat again what I said in the past, consolidation is a must at the domestic level. I'm not going to pick winners or who consolidates with whom, but I think no more than 4 or 5 sizable money center banks, as we call them in the US, is sufficient for Ethiopia, and then we can have specialist banks. That's one thing. With regards to joining the WTO, I think it's about time. There are some practical things we need to think about when we talk about WTO. We cannot be outside of the world's order, especially since we are embarking on a major industrialization strategy where we export, right? So if we don't join that, and if you look at this banking sector related to Ethiopia's industrialization strategy, if you look at the big global banks, what do? They follow their clients. So if the multinationals that are setting up shop in Ethiopia are going global, and you can't just be servicing them locally. What if they go to sell in Kenya? I chair a company that is now exporting globally, and in the next year or so, we'll probably be exporting to Kenya or Uganda or all the way across to Nigeria. Do you just want to service my company here, which is a multinational, and leave it to the Nigerians or the Kenyan banks? No. So that means this you have to see it where we're going from a macro perspective to understand the need. So with WTO, as was said here, there's a buffet type of approach, so maybe we can pick and choose a joint. But we cannot be outside of the world order. That's what it implies when we refuse to sign WTO. Okay? Even some of the benefits that we've been given, for example, the U.S. trade benefits that we've been given, AGOA, it could be taken away. If the Americans believe that we do not comply with global rules, they can just say, you know what, it was a gift we gave you. They did that recently, by the way, last month. They took it away from Cameroon. They didn't like what Cameroon was doing. So we just have to be real about, where we are. We have a bright future, but we just also have to. So that's it. The African continent, free trade, again, not just in the financial services, but in all the other aspects, especially exporting of goods, where the banking sector is the financier of the sector. I think it's a nirvana, it's a godsend for Ethiopia. Okay? So these are just some macro pictures. And then, Dr. Yusuf's work, you asked some questions, maybe we can come up to it. You had some questions about where do we see the financial sector 5 years from now after we joined WTO or adapted it. Maybe we can talk about it in the next round. But there are a number of things I just want to pick very quickly. One, from the banking sector, as I said, we need to get big. We've got to be innovative. And think global. Go across. Why should the Kenyan banks be the ones to come here and scare the hell out of us? Why shouldn't we be the ones doing that? Right? So that means we need to do that. And then here's the other very interesting thing. There's a very unique opportunity now for banks in Ethiopia. There are no global retail banks left in Africa anymore, except one bank in West Africa and very small four Francophone African countries. That means they've all left. Barclays was the last one. So there is actually an opportunity For Ethiopian banks, yeah, regionally initially, I mean, dominate the region, but you can go across Africa. So this was actually very interesting statistics we saw that there's nothing left. They've all left the continent. They decided, you Africans, you run your own banking sector. I'm talking about retail, commercial banking, okay? So there's just some quick thoughts, and then hopefully we'll come back.